outdated and flawed, and quite frankly, not much of an experience, I would say. Atmos has been for the past 15, yeah, it's got to be getting on 15 years now. Atmos is pretty much old and outdated now. Not even improvements with it. Well, even if there was, I mean, they got to change all the AVRs. All the AVRs that are made are completely useless. Then I don't know. I don't know why they make them. Because you think that a cinema would use an AVR, really? Um, there is no dimensionality with Atmos. It's pretty. Ah, dear. Well, even the mixing and such and sound and all that and sound design or whatever. There's so much details in actual sound reality um, that I can list that just ain't on ain't on the sound mixing Atmos menu. Um, let me do some typical. Just pick a classic movie. Trying to pick a classic movie here to show. Maybe so get some example. Maybe get a buzz. I don't know which. Yeah. Hmm. Well. Yeah. Well, I don't know. That's interesting to create that sort of. Uh, let's share this one. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Um, go to there. There we go. There we go. Yeah, classics. Say from the Towering Inferno. It could be any movie actually. Um, you always see this over on the over to the left side. You see the fire flames. Well, base of it is going to start. The bulk of the fire is going to be somewhere below, and then the flames are going to go up and up and up. Create. What do they do? Eat oxygen, is it? I think. I think that's what they do in it. They eat up oxygen or such. So it's a living thing, kind of, almost sort of thing. It's got a character to it, which is part of a personality sort of thing for the movie. The flames of the fire is it's kind of it's kind of, I think it is credited, or is it uncredited? Anyway, thing is, put it out. But it's got a dimension. But when you hear it on the typical speakers behind the screen, you only hear it in the middle. Though, if you listen carefully sometimes to the frequency response and such in mixing and then adding it, and then got to do some sort of filtering to reduce it or such to, because a film's an audio medium can't take the whole full range of reality sound and then just play it back. It would just be overloaded, and it would just be a noise, and it would distort. So um it's like, if you want to do a yelling, and you got to do some very careful adjusting, and of course the output of the amplification and the to the cinema speakers have got to be adjusted so that it gives the once all the mixing and all that's done, it gives the illusion that you are yelling, someone yelling loud and all that. But when you hear gunshots or things like that in movies, they're given the distance that you may be aware from the screen. They're not the same. It's not the same. It's an okay recording, but it's not going to be playing back at the level where the whole audience after listening to some short moment of maybe 1 minute of gunshot fire and all that, and everyone's got hearing damage afterwards because of the intense peak loudness, and then you're going to have whistling tinnitus in your ears. So there's got to be restraint to film soundtracks. At the end of the day, cannot reproduce reality sound. It's just not possible. It's impossible. But they could make improvements with the channels for the screen speakers and the amount of speakers, depending on the size of the cinema speaker or the PA speaker. Usually if there's 5 screen speakers, and though a trinnov says it could do 7 speaker, so you got 5 screen speakers that have come about since the 1950s, I think, with the 70mm for Todeo. And before that, the screen speakers were free, or still typically 3 screen speakers. And then going back further, just a single mono, and that's changed through Vitaphone through to optical soundtrack, with slight improvement over Vitaphone, and then going into the amount of optical soundtracks that have been invented, or it's quite interesting. There's been quite a lot of them to have different techniques of creating multi-channel through the use of optical soundtrack. With it's got limitation, maybe frequency response, but still, it's going to play back with a discrete, but it's whether it's successful or a fail. I think Popeye, that movie was with Paramount Pictures. With they had something called Vitasonic or something that was an optical 4-track, and then of course there's Dolby Labs approach to using Matrix twin track optical. It's okay if it's set up correctly. It's okay, but when you listen to it, each channel in turn, you can hear it's like and when you listen to a discrete 6-channel, which is totally a different ball game. But those sort of past sound format things, they're not really practiced much with the magnetic soundtrack, unless there's surviving prints that are 70mm that are not damaged, and rarely now play in certain venues, because most some have been converted to DTS or datasat sound, so it can play on CD-ROM, but it's still channel limited to this middle. You know, Eh, yeah. If you listen, sometimes it sometimes gives the illusion you think you can hear the sound kind of moving up and down. But usually, typically, when you hear the HF horn, which I can usually notice in a cinema, and I'm kind of looking kind of up and down, sort of sometimes, or left to right, because I can hear the way the frequency response is moving and where the typical photography of performers are on the screen, and then some of the sound just doesn't seem to match very well. It's like it's out of position. Um, for example, if you've got a group of people and they're moving and walking around or moving pretty fast, usually you notice this kind of like take your hand and you notice this kind of air movement. And you're not going to get that much from speakers, and you're not going to feel it even if you're sat 10 feet away from a screen. You wouldn't notice it, um, because there's little details in between, um, like when there's people or crowd and they're moving around off screen, and then something comes this way off screen to the on screen, and they're moving around. You don't notice much behind you. You don't notice footsteps that are in the correct position, so they sound like they're on the floor. And you notice a body movement that's a little bit, you know. And of course, if someone's talking, their voice level is going to be up there. If they crouch down, then their voice level will be, say, near to someone seated in a seat, and you hear the voice at ear level. And then, of course, when you move down a little bit lower, you tend to hear the voice shifting downward diagonally until they get on their hands and knees and they're kissing the floor and talking. But when I hear performers moving around and you got all the Foley sound, most of that sounds like some of the footstep sounds and all that. I can hear it up in the depending on the frequency of the footsteps. I can hear it where the voices are, and that doesn't make sense. There's just not enough screen channel speakers behind these, behind those dub stages to cinemas to even some sophisticated home cinemas that use a multi-channel behind the screen. I'd like to use a 7 screen, but I can't because there's the cinema speakers that I already have in place are very large, and there's not enough room unless, of course, I had a bigger room and I could use the two additional um, uh, more middle speakers that are very close to the center channel. But I've just got to use the 5 screen, and sometimes with these atmos mixes on some movies, and even old outdated movies that have been remixed, upmixed. Sometimes they got a left center, right center, but I take it with a pinch of salt sometimes, whether it's legitimate to the original film or if it's, well, I've just heard some plain awful ones where they just sound gimmick, sound like a Dolby Labs licensed, sold to a bloody dubbing stage studios or whatever, and some lousy mixer has made an atrocious sound bloody mix. I can't believe what I'm listening to. Um, yeah, it's bit of a rush sometimes. I think they just rush it. I don't know why. What their hurry is? They maybe need their coffee break and need to pick up their wage salary, and that's it. And then they just give you the studio gives you a raw atmos deal, so to speak, which is, well, pretty crooked actually. Um, doesn't have to be that way, but I'm afraid they've been doing it for many years now. I mean, you think of film studios and all that, they're worse than Donald Trump. They're worse than the White House. They're worse than Keir Starmer. They're absolutely crooked. I don't know what's wrong with them. Why are they giving? They think the general public, must be a bunch of dipsticks that don't know what to listen for, what to look for. Yeah, they think they're because they got these Academy Award nominations and Oscars. They think they're high almighty. I was just sick and tired of the out, and everything from SEMPTI to CEDIA to CES, AES. Oh gosh, all those salty companies. I mean, bloody hell. Oh dear. It's like when I do this. I can hear where the sound is moving on my face when I move my hand. I'm not stupid. But that's when you hear it in, say, when you're close up to someone and you can hear that movement of sound. But when you hear it in movies, it's typically going to be in the center channel and it's going to sound like plastic. It's got no soul bloody to the bloody mixing. It's got no soul to it. It's totally soulless. They need to be more channels. And you know what? You buy a trinnov and they say, oh, wow, it's got 64 channels. Most of all those channels are totally wasted on speakers for the surround channel. Um, more speakers down the side walls and back wall and on the bloody ceiling. Totally wasted. Nothing for below surround. Nope. 64 channels, and bloody hell, they can't even figure out how to bloody use it, or how to if things are done stereo and such, and you got speakers, so many speakers going along the side wall and back wall for surrounds, and they're stereo and such, you can always add on a matrix decoder into that, you know so you got two stereo there, and then another two stereo, and then so on. You can add on a matrix decoder, and then it can do some extra depending on the mixing and all that, unless of course they want to go from 64 channels and take it a little bit higher, because 64 channels, really? My CB radio's got more channels than that, though I don't really much use my CB radio now. I think I'm going for a phase of we change every they say, or we change every 7 years. We may be the same, but maybe our makeup, our personality makeup, it goes through some sort of change. We start to open our eyes and we start to disbelieve the rich people, the billionaire politicians lying to us, and we start to wake up. Yeah, it's just like the film studios. Gotta wake up and sort of like think, put your foot down and say, look, these channels, what you're offering is like it's like the devil shaking hand with some consumer or some integrator and shaking hand and then bullshitting someone that wants a home cinema in their mansion or whatever, and then bullshitting. You know, most of these people don't even know what sound formats are. There's a lot of them, but um, I can tell you, Atmos is not the tour de force. It is not anywhere near. I have to say, I'm very supremely disappointed with it. I don't really care for gravity much because if it was something really good, then I wouldn't be doing this video. I wouldn't be doing it. Not many other people would because they haven't got the balls. They just rather kiss these integrators' asses and kiss Dolby Labs' ass, and yeah, that, you know, the channels for it are completely outdated. It's got no soul to it. The music. Oh, let me see. Music. Um, Let me go out of that one. The way the helicopter rotor blades, and then the way the camera is pulling back. We hear the motor on the, and then you hear the motor part of the helicopter, and then you got the rotor blades. The rotor blades are just um, the sound is probably there, but well, I would imagine they would be making a kind of whooshy sound, but you can't hear it much here, and you just hear the motor sound. Unless, of course, there is a track there, but it's a little bit purposely frequency masked because I think in reality it would be a little bit masked by unless you're a really trained listener and you get into a position or angle where you can hear that kind of because those blades would be pushing through air and making a sound whilst the motor on the helicopter would be making its own sound, because of the bearings and engine and all that turning. Those blades at so many revolution to make the helicopter fly and the tail rotor. Yeah, of course, the vehicle then moving through the air. Anyway, but it's the music. If the positions and could be repositioned. Like there's a kind of bass boom, ba boom, 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 ba boom. Maybe you could have that somewhere moving below the screen a little bit in stereo, in multi, and with instrumentation. And then you got the other instruments maybe a little bit up a bit. And then when you get those chambles or those chambles or those clash sounds, like they get the wassets and psh, or such. Maybe that could be a little bit placed up higher on the screen speakers behind the screen, so it gives a kind of like looking like like wow, and then psh, you hear that you know um, with some see kind of looking like wow, because that's how we look at reality sometimes when we see things moving overhead planes or something gets your attention, we we do this, don't we? We're not just, unless of course it depends on the chemistry of the day, and you're focused on something else, and you couldn't care less about anything going on around you, and then you fuck up because you want to go for that important uh, deal at the stock market, and you don't pay a fucking attention, and you cross the road and you get hit by a bus. Well, maybe if you weren't thinking about greed and money, uh, you wouldn't be wearing a bus. um, oh yeah, only lasts about a second, doesn't it? Not long enough. If it kept long enough there, that you'd get a sense, the helicopter, and then it goes slightly below off screen, and then but it's about a second or so, or less than a second. So many frames. That's all. It's only so many frames. Is it 24 frames for 1 second? I think, if I can recall my projection days. Um, then it cuts to where it's like looking down on the helicopter, but it's not really. It's still on screen, and you get something like a whoosh, whoosh. It could be somewhere like you kind of like, wow, it's kind of up there, sort of thing. Um, and then you got other instruments that are, because there's so many instruments playing, and you can have those located elsewhere on the screen, and the other instruments located. Like I say, there needs to be more screen speakers. I was thinking 39 speakers, but maybe that's not enough. Um, and it is kind of like taking a bit of artistic license, because a real orchestra will be um, will be located in a certain position on the stage, and then you just got to kind of like think like, you got to use a bit of imagination, which is what Dolby Labs don't have. They haven't got any imagination, and basically they've given the public, well, actually, firstly they've given the dubbing stages and the cinemas, and then the consumer public, basically a flawed system. I have to say that it is flawed. So I'm always listening to the same boring positions. No, no imagination. No imagination. Though I can listen to this on a laptop, though crap. I haven't been in my home cinema now. I haven't watched a movie now for about almost 10 days. And I can do this quite easily, standing on my head, and I can do it till maybe February and just not be interested. Of course, when I go in the room, it's going to. I'm not sure if I left the window a little bit open. It's going to. I think I left the window open a little bit in the room. I can't remember. Well, it will smell kind of fresh, sort of thing. Um, but yeah, the thing, everything's been laying cold for nearly a month. Most people with their home theaters, home cinemas couldn't probably live without their home cinema for about a day. I can quite easily. um, I think I've done it before. I think it's been about 40 days or something one time, 40 days or so. That's when one of my cats passed away, and I thought, all that in that room, it's just a pack of electronics. It's soulless. It's meaningless to me. To most other people, they would crave to have what I've got in that room, or what I've got in my home. Yeah, they would crave for it, and yet You got no imagination. You don't know even what eBay is or how to do a search or on if you want some of that classic cinema technology of the past. You just don't know where to look for it. It's on eBay if you can find it, if it's listed. Yeah, you just hang around on these forums like AVS. You're not gonna get high tech on there. You're just gonna get a rubbish Storm processor or a rubbish trinnov that can only do very little. It is disappointing. Um, yeah, I mean, what does it cost a studio when they do these alleged um upmix, remix, or 4K or whatever the bloody hell they call it. I mean, they haven't got they don't even have a video to prove that they actually did it. They just say, for all we know, it goes into a tiny little room with a crappy speaker layout, crappy, crappy computer and all that, and it's just done cheap. And it's probably done in less than a week or maybe so. And then it's just pumped out when they're ready to mass produce the bloody thing. You could put a flying pig plastered onto a bloody 4K disc and say it's Dolby Atmos. You can easily encode those discs to say it's got, this and that, and yet there's nothing there. It's disappointing there's no blows around. Really is. And things that I've been thinking of, if a speaker layout was done, though it's a little bit tricky because of the way sound waves will propagate from speakers, but with light or say laser or such, laser can only go usually in a straight, it can't do anything complex. So it's just something mechanically makes something look like it's doing that, but when you turn that other piece off of that equipment, the laser just goes in a straight line. Bit disappointing, really. Yeah, maybe they'll improve it one day. But like beam of light as such, you can focus beam of light, even though the off axis of a beam of light will still illuminate certain areas of a room because it's light. If it's in, say, oh gosh, outer space, which is just black, mostly blackness, that light wouldn't shine. The off axis of it wouldn't go because there's nothing there for it to reflect on. Unless, of course, the universe is in a sphere of a pet alien's laboratory. You know, how big's that sphere? You know. Anyway, um, how long's a piece of string? How many speakers behind the screen? How many? You can't really make the speakers too small because of the sensitivity and their frequency response and the dynamic range limitation. When I think of those that upmix, when you use that DSU, the Dolby DSU takes the sound from the left right channel and then just puts it over and just plasters that sound stereo left to right on every single speaker in the room. It doesn't do in the individuality of moving that sound. because Dolby Labs jumped the gun. They didn't really think it through, and DTS come up with their version of the upmixer, and its upmixer takes mostly the sound from the surround channel and then plasters that sound on the overhead speakers. Yeah, and forget about Aura. Aura 3D is an absolute train wreck. It's a mess. Forget about it. I think those when you upmix it, if you used any of say like the DSU, um, I think you should use that channel should be located behind the screen, and then channeled also into a ProLogic 2X decoder, so it can go from 2 channel and then expand it so it moves above the regular 5 screen or 7 screen speaker, and it moves. Because when you listen to it and you can hear the you listen carefully, you can take my word for it. Okay, it took me a little while to suss out how these upmixer things work, um, which is a bit of a con, really. It's a bit of a scam. Um, people think, oh yeah, it makes the Dark Knight sound great. I can hear the Batwing and all that, ooh, moving. Yeah, but its reality is, if you listen carefully to the screen channels, and then turn off those screen channel and then listen to the surround channels, listen carefully, switch that up mixing, go through the DSU and the D and the DTS neural X, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out and you'll say, yeah, you're absolutely right. But does the sound really on the DTS neural X, but just taking the sound from the surround channel, putting it onto the ceiling, I don't know. It's a bit soulless. It's only stereo. You're only hearing, so you got 6 speakers on the ceiling, maybe 10 speakers on the ceiling, and it's just doing stereo. That's all it's doing. It's not doing anything individual and anything individual. Like, it's just doing that. You want something to move individually, and I think, oh wow, wow, I'm getting immersed in the bubble of sound. um, yeah. Um, and we hear that, yeah, some of the sound up on the top. That's what I usually hear on the HF horns, and where the bass channels are, and but yeah, it needs to have all the instruments individually broken up into, you know. But I'm thinking even deeper. Um, the way sound works. I'm gonna get myself a 7 Up. Oh, I'm gonna get myself a 7 Up with ice. Yeah, ice. Yeah, remember to put some ice cubes in there. And some 7 Up. Oh. So, yeah, some refreshment. Ooh. Ooh. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh. Bloody hell. Oh. Yeah. Oh, wow. That is refreshing. You know, you could do the kind of Pepsi challenge with the 7 Up and the Sprite. Mm. Well, the 7 Up came out first. The Sprite is just an imitation from the is it the Coca-Cola company? Yeah. Mm. Um, but it's probably better to get real lemon and lime and put it in water, leave it in a water bottle container or such for 24 hours, and then drink it. Yeah, it'll have a totally different thing, taste, flavor, etc. Question of balancing the ingredient, the amount of what's put in, which overpowers what, because it's like, well, yeah, ingredients is like audio mixing. If you got certain frequencies or certain sounds or frequencies, tracks overlaying and such, and then you got to do, manipulation to the sound. But then when you listen to real life reality, it's like ingredients. There's some certain things that are masking what you know you can't hear, whether it's footsteps or any body movement, which would be very, very difficult. But unless you're nearby and such, and you're in a crowd, usually when people usually move past or around you, you usually feel this little bit of air movement. Which, like I say, again, you're not going to. It's not possible to reproduce that in home or cinema or whatever. It's not possible because of the time it would take for the air to come from the port to reach. Well, that won't happen because the screen is acting as a filter, like say, like a popper stopper. So, like, you got a popper stopper that you put over a microphone, and then you blow on it, and then you don't get that sound. And if I put a popper stopper here in front of the microphones, you wouldn't hear that blowing sound or whatever, which sounds like distortion. But in reality, we don't have popper stoppers near our ears like filters. So when it's very blustery with wind, or even mild with wind, usually when you turn into the direction and you get this wind going down your ear canal, and you hear like it sounds like distortion. If you had a popper stopper in front of your ear, you wouldn't hear that distortion because it acts as a filter. So yeah, the screen speakers with trying to blow air from the ports just ain't going to happen because it's a filter. Because that air has got to go through those tiny. Well, today now they use micro perforated screens, which is even more tiny perforations compared to the original perforations that were a little bit, probably about the size of the tip of a pen that you could put through that perforation. Now they're about, oh gosh, you could just poke a pin through the damn things now. Yeah, yeah. So that ain't going to happen because even if it wasn't a screen there, the timing will be will take so many seconds until it reaches the audience, and the way the air will go out, it won't go maybe totally 100% directional. It will gradually, as it travels, it will widen slightly. Yeah, so forget about that. It's a little bit too. Yeah, might as well just go out and enjoy the real thing. If you're into sound, you might as well just enjoy the real thing. If you're not, then I don't know. If it's bass sound or bass or whatever you want to call it, bass. Bass is a moon bass actually. Bass is like a sea, like a fish, uh, mutated, ill-tempered. Um, so yeah, forget about that. At least for now. Maybe aliens, alien encounter Area 51s have got that sort of technology, but we mortal earthlings, we do not have this technology. um yeah. um hmm. So I've got a lot of music playing here in the background, and you got audience, um, people partying or whatever. Now, what's wrong with the picture? Even though I'm listening just on the laptop, and I've listened to this movie um, dozens of times. I wouldn't say a million because that would be a total lie. I wouldn't even say 1,000 times. Not even near 500 times. Not even near 200. Somewhere less than 200, I would say. But um, I've watched it many a times. It uses a dialogue or panning or directional dialogue. Um, that's heard occasionally during the movie, where you hear performers over to the left, over to the right, or maybe to the left center or the right center. Um, because you got to take the when you take the center, and when it goes through a matrix or decodering through, say, a trinnov, um, you get a 5 spread, but some of the pans, depending on how many degrees they are panning that sound, whether it goes a little bit, if it's over to the hard left, hard right, or if it's left center, right center, or center. Same for maybe some sound effects, or where it might flow and move through maybe three of the screen speakers of the left center, right center, or maybe all five, depending on, yeah, it depends on the, yeah, the degrees and how much area it's covering to create some illusion. But when you listen deep and you know you got a performer voice located here and the body areas here, and then if that's moving through three-dimensionality, it's pushing air in your head. Of course, you're pushing air. And footsteps. Their footsteps are slightly below the screen. And if you hear footsteps and then you usually hear the little rustle sounds, and that might be a little bit high up in the pitch and the free, it's like where their voice is. And that doesn't make sense. It should be down there sort of below, because it sounds like then the performer has got their shoe stuck in their mouth. And the Foley just doesn't seem to make sense. I think Foley in filmmaking is a little bit outdated in its technique, its mixing. It's totally outdated. You think you got billions of movies worldwide, billions. Bloody hell! You got to have a new system, and they all got to be bloody remixed, so they sound like this immersive bullshit that they're trying to, that Dolby Laboratories are trying to market and sell to the cinema. Trying to sell. Is Dolby Atmos a successful format? No, I don't think it is. Nor do I think DTSX Pro version is successful. I mean, you look at how many cinemas are probably using DTSX Pro. Probably very few. I'm just the messenger here. The messenger here is disappointed with the bullshit. I knew Dolby Atmos was crap day one when I first looked at the PDF file, and I thought, is this it? Is this all it can do? Very supremely disappointed. And then you hear these mixes, and it's like sometimes what they, probably got to cut corners and such and try and create so that's it gonna sound like, oh wow. This video brought to you by Mini Rolls. Yeah, rock and roll, or rock and roll. Yeah, absolutely disgustingly seductive chocolate roll. I hadn't had any of those since what was it, last summertime? Yeah, I need a drink because it makes your mouth dry, and you just think, well, if you can hold the drink, the part of the coldness, the refreshing part, I just held that in my mouth just a little bit before I swallowed it because, if I do this, I kind of bring it up a little bit to the throat area, and then it feels refreshing in this area of the throat, the drink. But you taste it in your mouth, and then you guzzle. It's just guzzling. When you buy drinks that, like, when water is a little bit cheaper from the tap, when you think about it, or if you want to go a little bit more cheaper and get it for absolute free of charge, just stick something out the window to capture some water, rainwater, because that's what we're drinking. What else is it? What else do you think nature is drinking? And they've been getting along fine for billions of years. Anyway, it's just getting that refreshing thing. It's like atmos. You're trying to get a refreshing thing from it, and it is sometimes atmos is very unrefreshing. Yeah, I mean, they've just redone Ben-Hur. What the fuck? Atmos Ben-Hur, an old outdated movie from the 1950s, and just plaster Atmos on it. Oh yeah, yeah. How many channels is a trinnov going to utilize with that? I don't think I want to. Not interested. I got Ben-Hur on DVD, 2-disc, I think it is, because of the running time on it. It's on the 2 discs. And it's I think where one of the discs it has the intermission, so it seems logical there. Then you have a break. You talk about the experience of what you're visually looking at, or maybe it's just the sound you're interested in, or maybe it's the story, or maybe it's just boredom, and you think, oh, it's okay. Yeah. I don't know. Blimmin' Atmos. Really. I don't think those chariots sound very decent in Atmos. Yeah, when you look at camera angles, and when it does, you got these angles where it might go overhead, and you don't get any of that. And you think, whoa, where's the Atmos? It's hit and miss, sort of thing. You buy these AV receivers, you think you got what the bloody hell do you call them? 9 point this, 9 or 11 point that, and 13 point this, 20 point that, and oh dear.
Looking for me, Chief? If you're Duncan, yeah. I am. Everything under control? Got to move all these people out of here. Oh, now just how bad is it? So fire, mister, and all. Got to move all these people out of here. Oh, now just how bad is it? So fire, mister, and all fires are bad. Out of here. Oh, now just how bad is it? So fire, mister, and all fires are bad.
Yeah, I don't think there's a good fire. I don't think there has been a good fire there. That's exactly right. They're all bad. They need to be extinguished. Yeah. Yeah, some are saying that the Towering Inferno should have a 4K release. But I did, I keep forgetting. I didn't know it's in the hands of the evil mouse. It's got its meat hooks stuck into it. Ugh. I don't know why anyone wants to buy for anything for. When I think about Tron, Atmos, what a disappointment! What a load of rubbish! Total train wreck of a mess. It's better just to have the original mix as it is. It doesn't, because the way that's done slightly, though the original mix on 6 track doesn't entirely exist on DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. It doesn't entirely, but the mix on the Dolby Stereo of Tron, there is only minor differences with the mix that I noticed with the remix, which is done artistically because Tron would have originally had mono surround channel, discrete. And then, of course, you've got Dolby Stereo Matrix mono surround. It still have most pans, and you hear some pans that sound like they're over your shoulder or along the surround speakers, or if it was in 70mm, they'll be on. The sound would be on the same signal on all the speakers. That's for those that don't understand and have decent home theaters. Two speakers on the sidewall. No, that's not how surround is done. And 2 speakers on the back, and then most AV receivers can't even duplicate those same channels for, like, say, proper Dolby Stereo configurations. They're totally incapable of doing that, and a waste of time for a home theater. And most people wouldn't even know today probably how to get the proper hass of that. So you get this delay time, and you get this, like, it seems like the sound signals moving this way along or moving along that way, even though when you turn off the rest of the screen channel, come out now, come on here. Oh dear. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. 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 Anyway, yeah, I like to have a little pick here, because I see all these home theatres and all bragging how many bloody sub-bass speakers they got, and yet if you go and listen to their room, I suppose it's going to sound really atrocious. Probably booming too much, and less detail in the screen channel, and bloody hell, you look at the surrounds and think, bloody hell, I don't feel like it's a small room or such, but most just don't have proper surround configuration. And most, I suppose every home theatre to their own, and they haven't even got proper Dolby licensed Cat 150s in their home theatres. I could switch any the Cat 150 cards. I could switch any of them from D, is it D, E, and F? Because they all got different specific steering or technique on those cards. I could plug any of those into the CP200. Can anyone do that on their Anthem or their Emotiva or even their Trinnov or Storm Audio? Surprised that Trinnov can't do everything. That doesn't even have a traditional hard chip Pro Logic decoder fitted in the rather than a synthetic DSP type, but a proper, so it does the proper traditional sort of thing. But that's why you got inputs on these processors so that you can plug in an additional processor and then switch the settings on the processor to an appropriate original Dolby stereo, so you get the actual signature sound and not something that's not something that's some updated rubbish DSU. Yeah. Oh, crikey. Melanie. Wait. No, Melanie. Come on, Melanie. Oh dear. Let's see. What am I looking for? What am I looking for here? Something here. If I find it, I don't know. Yeah. Right. Call it. What to call it now? Oh, is it that one? Okay, let's see. Where's that? you want that stormtrooper, so like when he's falling, though, when he goes off screen there, it's only about what, a second before the next cut. But even falling, you know, it's probably going to be very difficult, because you got all the music blaring away, and if a body stormtrooper or whatever is falling, I got a theory. I think they're like I think they're not like the Australian guy, the New Zealand guy, the actor that plays the Bobo Fett #1 or whatever it is. I think they're like the Greedos, that tried to shoot and then missed. Because it makes sense because Greedo tried to shoot and he totally missed. Bloody hell, he's aiming straight at and he totally. You got to say how did Greedo manage to fuck up that? He totally missed. um, Maybe he should have brought himself a bigger gun. um, oh dear, yeah. So um, there's a lot going on in this. Hmm. So, where you got certain musical instruments, and of course, if they were placed in certain positions, so at certain points, it's moving, and it's like, like, I don't know, to create something like the depth of the, so it seems like well, it's not maybe endless. I don't know how far down it goes, I haven't got the Death Star technical blueprint plans, so I wouldn't know. Hmm. It does. I tell you, when you hear this on Laserdisc and Dolby Stereo, proper Dolby Stereo in my, oh wow, it's like a flashback. And I could do several things, to even make it sort of sound like how I heard it in this maybe specific auditorium, with its speaker layout, such, or whether it be overhead speakers in the ceiling, or if it was just speakers on the side walls, back wall, and maybe in the ceiling, depending on which auditorium I saw it in back in 1978. And of course, if I want to take that further or such, I'd want below surround. So really, it should be encompassing um, a cluster of speakers going down the sidewall, back wall, ceiling, floor, and then you balance it all out. That sound, so it sounds like a single speaker. So when it does the panning and such, it's seamless, but will be completely surrounding, not a bubble of sound because it would be kind of rectangular sort of shape. Well, it'll be kind of better than what's been done in the past, and better than what's present. Even millionaires, they're multi whatever, $1 million home theaters, they got no imagination. They got this trinnov and all that, and they think, yeah, how do I do that? Oh, I'm going to run out of channels. No, you're not. You got to figure it out, haven't you? You got to know how things work, and it's pretty simply straightforward. until you get until you want to do something really pretty complex with complexities, and then you want something to be like, wow, it's going to be bloody memorable, you know. And it's only going to be what, probably one home theatre in the world that's got this capability, and then not even dubbing stages are up to the caliber. They're behind the times, you know. Um, yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, even though a trinnov is capable of going up to 7 screen channel, and even it would even I think it will work even with uh, Dolby Stereo Matrix. So it would divide channel 5.1, 7.1. Um, and if you can engage the certain decoder and such on the processor, it will spread that sound across the 5 screen, and where those pan sounds go, depending on the degree angle on the in the mix, such where it would go and steer that signal to, or steer those signals to. Yeah, I mean, who's heard Star Wars on? I mean, well, who's heard Star Wars on 7 screen speaker, or even 5 screen speaker? Who's heard that in their home theater? Hardly any. They just got typical tower speakers and a little dinky center channel. That's not the way. That's not the way to listen to this classic. Um, uh, I don't think when they bring it out on next year, are they going to bring it out next year? I don't think it's. Got to take it with a pinch of salt. They're going to use a near field mix. I don't think they're going to be throwing a theatrical mix out there on that disc format. So you've got to take it with a bit of pinch of salt. It'll sound okay, but is it going to have if they're going to use a certain print or whatever, and they're going to use a Dolby Stereo version, um, is it going to have the exact same frequency response as it would have on that when it plays through specific Dolby decodering, and on the film print itself, it's got a specific frequency response. It's like you hear those fan made ones, but they do on this Blu-ray, and then the 4K 77 or whatever. The frequency response on those is totally inaccurate. They're not. Like, it's just fan things where people are doing a bit of their time. That's their time to waste if they want to, and then making a profit on it by selling it. Well, they should be giving those things away for free, because then, of course, if they get caught, they'll get charged, and they'll be facing a long prison time in jail. I don't disagree with you know pirating. I think sometimes I think if the studios are not going to give the consumer a proper deal, I think then maybe someone should take it into their own hands, or but will maybe do it legally. Get rights and all this and etc. And do it proper and legally, so you don't get into trouble. But a lot of those are, they're like anonymous people. You don't know what they are, but they can get caught. And you do time for that sort of thing, because you're selling it, which is double wrong If you weren't selling it, you'd probably get probably a less prison sentence. But anyway, I don't really care for it any much more. I mean, I think as it is on Laserdisc, it suffices. It gives me a flashback. It gives me a wow at the end of the end credits. A wow. Knock my socks off. I don't think Disney's gonna, because they got the evil mouse's teeth and its meat hooks stuck in it, ripping its soul out, and you just can't trust it. You can't trust studios. Bloody near field mixes. Disney. Yeah, it was Disney, wasn't it? They were the first to start all this bloody near field mixing bullshit on the bloody home theatre market. And then all the other studios bloody jumping on it. And then what you got at the end, and then what we have here at the end of the day is a bloody dire mess. It's like, mix it once, release it once, mix it theatrically once, and then release it once, and move on to the next project. Don't look back, just move forward. Unless there is an absolute bloody damn good reason to do a damn another remix on it. An absolute bloody damn good reason. Otherwise, you scan it so it doesn't have any issues with the light intensity that's on the film. It doesn't give this issue effect. It looks like you're looking at photochemical film on an OLED or a digital projector. It doesn't have any of the issues, because when you look at 35mm, when it's actually projected, it doesn't have the usual typical issues that are associated sometimes, unless you got a lousy video technician that hasn't got a bloody clue, inexperienced, and you need someone that's experienced that knows how to handle the balance and everything. So it looks like, when you look at it, it should look totally transparent to the 35mm when it's actually projected. It should look transparent. And once you got that all done and achieved, and you got the theatrical mix, sound mix, no bullshit, you release it, that's it. You got no need to re-release that title for maybe 30, 40 years unless the disc format completely changed. And then they got to re-release the same thing again on a different format with a much higher bullshit resolution that we would hardly even notice. 8K? 16K? I don't think we would notice the difference. Unless, of course, the image is incredibly magnified. Huge. That's when you notice the difference. But when it's in a small, projection thing in a home, you're not going to notice it unless some crappy engineer has been at it and you can see, what the fuck are they done with this? I've seen Laserdisc looking better than this. What the bloody hell have they done? Anyway, like I say, if it's all done perfect, there's no need to release a title for at least many decades. Oh yes, of course. Now we look at all these titles. That bloody hell, they release them like 2 times within 10 years, and then another 10 years, and then you go into the next decade, and then releasing the same shit again. It's like, huh? Haven't they got a life? They're just greedy. That's all. Just plain greedy. Just like politicians. Greedy. Greedy. They need to stuff themselves with this. Oh. As these ice cubes melt in the 7-Up, it gradually changes the taste flavour of the drink, because it's well, it's water, isn't it? Ice cubes are water, and it's gradually melting down to water, and it kind of filters it a little bit. Yeah, it's best to have your drink, while it's still or probably no, it's a bit risky putting a 7-Up bottle in the freezer. You got to time it. Otherwise, if you forget about it, because of the carbon whatever in the bottle might possibly maybe. I've seen a Coca-Cola can. I put a Coca-Cola can. I wanted to freeze it up a little bit, but I totally forgot about it for 2 days. And when I opened the fridge, the can exploded. While it was in the fridge, it exploded, and there was frozen Coca-Cola all over the place. Yeah, bit easy to pick out of the freezer compartment, but yeah, it was interesting. The can just ripped apart. It exploded. The can. Yeah. So you got to time it. You put it in for a certain amount of time, or maybe I think the better solution is just put the ice in an ice crusher and crush it down to fine, and then just put it in the cup and then pour the drink on it, and it'd be like a smoothie, Coca-Cola or whatever. Yeah, but don't put a bottle, because if you open that bloody thing up at the wrong time, sort of thing, damn thing would be so compressed, it would just burst out really fast, like a water pipe that gets ruptured, and then that's under high pressure, and that water's just going to gush out, and you got to panic and look around for the stopcock or so, turn the bloody valve, turn the bloody water off before your kitchen is flooding. Yeah. It's just trying to get a drink that's really, ice chilled, refreshing. Ah, dear. Even in winter time. Oh, yeah. Anyway, Star Wars. Yeah. Yeah.
Here they come!
Here they come. I like that compression sound on the door. It's slightly different in the frequency response between the Laserdisc Dolby Stereo frequency response versus the 2000. I think it's the 2000 DVD, because they kind of improved the rest of the surround channels and everything. But when you listen to the 1997 version on AC, that only exists on AC3 THX Laserdisc, the surround channels are bloody awful. It's like a work print that hasn't been finished, until they did it in the early 2000s, and then it was like, but that's the same version that you hear in the cinema today. With these other versions, you don't hear the 97 version much. The actual 97 version, yeah, bits of it, but not the actual. I didn't even notice it when I heard it in the cinema in Empire Strikes Back. I heard Empire Strikes Back with overhead stereo surrounds in UCI. I think it was screen number 6. It was in DTS, yeah. Didn't really notice it much. Heard a few X-wings near the end of the movie, and that sort of heard a very mild sound of the off-screen, and then coming to the on, and then going to the on-screen, but not a real whole lot of it. They could have turned the surrounds up a little bit on the Rossett, because I wasn't Rossett there. I was only there for a short while with back when it opened, a couple of months after they opened, I think, up to 1990. Picks up a few techniques from there. Kind of like those projectors back in the day, the Victoria 5. But nice clean projector. But I don't like the sprocket. So I don't like the sprocket noise sound on those bloody things. I don't like listening to that bloody loud. I might give those 97 versions another listen, because I give the Empire Strikes Back a listen just on the surrounds versus the DVD. So I'm trying to get hold of those DVD and NTSC Region 1s, but they're bloody hard to get hold of now. And all I got is the PAL UK versions with the 4% speed up, which sound terrible. It's weird. How come the Star Wars, being such a popular title, classic, how come that is not really over expensive on eBay? That's weird. I can't figure it. I just don't get it. And I see a title of the Karate Kid, 1993 release, but RCA Columbia only released it in analog audio. They didn't have a PCM digital track on it, which PCM digital came around during the mid 1980s, and I'm puzzled. And yet there's some goon on eBay trying to sell it for $1,000, and it's got I think it's got a low probability of laser rot. So if it's on analog audio, FM sound and such, and if it's got bad laser rot, the soundtracks, you're not going to hear much. You're going to hear this noise going. Oh, bloody hell. And that's usually the rotation of the laser disc and the laser tracking and such, and picking up the picture sound and the rotation of that's why it's making that sound. And if it's digital PCM and bad, I mean chronic laser rot, you get little spitting sounds usually on the digital track. You get little spitting sounds, and then you listen to the analog and it's going, and you can't hear the fucking sound, the analog soundtrack. Kind of like if you misaligned because I think you could do the same with a 35mm projector. You could purposely misalign the optical sound pickup. You can misalign it on purpose, and the sound would just be I would imagine would be a load of garbled noise. Yeah, so that optical alignment has to be precise. So you're picking up the good frequency response on the soundtrack, which then gets converted into electrical signal. And then pre-amplified, and then goes through noise reduction, and then goes through matrix decodering. Oh dear. Still got ice cubes in there. pour another bit of drink into that, because if there's ice cubes there, there's drink to be consumed. Oh. Oh. Refreshing. Oh. Oh, yeah. Whew, 49%. It was up to about 50 plus, I think, 52, 53. Now it's dropped down so low. Humidity in the room. Yeah. Got my humidifier turned on almost 24/7. Just got every 8 hours or so top it up with water. So I thought I'd have an orange juice instead this time. I need a bit of vitamin. Oh, refreshing. Yeah. Yeah. So where you see the feet here, is there anything? Let me see. Let's have a look at this scene again. How many seconds does it last?
Oh. Here they come.
Oh, right. So, yeah, there it is. Here they come. And you see the feet there, okay? And then the princess is over to one side. Should have her voice dialogue panned, not in the center, because she's over this way. And you hear the voice in the center. That doesn't make logical sound sense. It defies the laws of physics. Should have the voice over here and then up here slightly, so it's upward for just that very short few seconds. Here they come. Yeah, you got to create these bizarre, artistic license, sort of thing, so you get sound that's moving. Yeah.
Here they come.
Um, sort of that's what's bothering me. It's when they fire the lasers, the phasers or lasers or ray guns or whatever bloody hell they are. It's like they're making ricochet sounds. Now I've yet to use one of my lasers. I haven't messed around. I haven't messed around with my lasers with. Bloody hell! Where the bloody hell all are they? I got lasers. I got tiny little lasers for a project thing, but I never really got that project off the ground. I've got other lasers that I occasionally use when I'm trying to think where they are. I think there's one or two in a cupboard drawer, and there's one somewhere else in a box. But usually sometimes they're inexpensive, and it's like, what do you want to do with the damn things, you know? Create a Jean Michel Jarre light show with Star Wars. But yeah, I mean, a laser making a ricochet sound when it hits something. The energy is fired, and that energy is traveling, and then it gets compressed. It hits an object and compresses and absorbed until the energy is no longer. Actually, it's rotoscoping. It's animation. It's not CGI. It's rotoscoping. What they call back in the day rotoscoping, where they paint it on the frames, and But when you look at it, sometimes the geometry of the angles sometimes don't seem to match the position of the ray gun or whatever it is. It doesn't match. It's like the angle is slightly off. Because you got to look at it very carefully, the angle through all the like where she's firing there, and you see the angle it's going at. Is it really trying to aim for the stormtroopers, or is it misaligned? Because a laser goes in a straight line. You can't possibly fuck that up. You either try to get a laser set up on a rigging so you can move it and keep it in that position, and then reflect the laser onto a mirror, and then angle that mirror, and then bounce that reflection over to the other side onto another mirror, and so on and so on and so on. You got to angle the mirrors so you get a zigzag or whatever, or do something a little bit more, very sophisticated and probably not cheap. So you could do where they fire the lasers and all that. You get the timing on a time code on. You have to make a time code sort of thing, so it's locked with the movie when it plays, and so that the lasers activate with a little bit of smoke in the room, and you can see the lasers firing across the room. That'd be something. That'd be something, but it is technically very technical to set up. I think there's how many lasers rotoscoping optical effects are used in Star Wars versus Empire versus, I think there's quite a lot more in Jedi. Particularly that battle on the Death Star, and it looks like a bloody mess. It's like, bloody hell, they're firing this way, that way, this way, this way, just for a few seconds, and then it cuts to something interior on a Falcon, aluminum Falcon or something, and then whatever. Oh, I feel the air getting a little bit cold here. Where's the bloody wind blowing to here tonight? Which bloody way is the angle of that wind blowing? Is it? Let's have a look. Bloody hell, I can feel a bloody draft coming in. Wind direction. Oh yeah, it's coming westerly direction. About northwesterly, which is over that way. I can feel it. I don't think they did a fucking good job with that bloody all this bullshit bloody last year, putting what they call, they don't call it rock wool or whatever it is anymore. They call it white wool. It's some sort of recycled plastic, recyclable plastic, and they use it now to pump it into the cavity walls. But why am I feeling a fucking draft? I mean, it's fucking lousy on the fucking windows that were put in a couple of years ago. It scared the crap out of my cats. My cats didn't fucking like it, and my cats didn't even like last year with all this fucking white wall being pumped into the fucking walls. Drove my cats fucking nuts. They didn't like it. And up there in the corner is a little vent, but you don't really use that much now because they got vents, these little vents on the windows, a little flap, and you open it and it lets a bit of air through. But when they were pumping that shit in the wall, it started coming through that fucking vent up there. I wasn't fucking pleased with that. I was fucking angry, red-faced angry. That fucking shit coming into the fucking room shouldn't be happening. Scared the shit out of my cats. Yeah, anyway. Doesn't seem like it's been a fucking good job in fucking council these days. They're fucking useless. I wonder if they sent someone over the road to fix the burst water pipe under the ground, because I noticed because the cold temperatures went down cold last week. One of the pipes across the road burst because there hasn't been any rain in the area until this week. There hadn't been any rain last week, and I noticed, like, what's all that water open thing? I can't see anything. Oh, I can see it moving. Oh, a water pipe has burst. I think it's I think somewhere a little bit round another part of the road area, a water pipe burst several years ago. I don't think anyone across the road has even fucking noticed. And then probably when they turn their tap on, the water pressure's a little bit on the slightly low side because it's venting. So I haven't heard any road drills or anything yet, so yeah, I haven't heard anyone. Yeah. I'd thought they'd try to figure these things out, by now, but there's so many water pipes that are such under the ground, some that, well, probably not up to the tech specs for weather conditions, and they're, and they need to revamp them. So they got to dig up most part of the road over across the road and then put a what's it on it. And yeah, but to do the whole lot, oh gosh, bloody hell, would take bloody years. It's the thing you got to watch out for, in the winter time is the water pipes in your neighborhood sufficiently good. They're not going to burst or anything. It's not a big problem, big deal. You still get water coming through your tap, but it just wouldn't be at the exact same pressure. It'd be slightly low because it's venting. This video brought to you by Co-op Orange Juice with bits. Tastes like an orange. Yeah. So yeah, the princess. Take me to the princess.
Here, hold this.
At least it's got the same original sound on this, like the 1977. Unlike that 97 that sounds like a bloody Dirty Harry Magnum 44 blaster. Oh, God's sakes. You get an orgasm in the cinema when you hear it the first time, and you get a second orgasm when you hear it on Laserdisc when it was released late that year. And then later, few years pass, and then you don't get that orgasm anymore. You totally fucking hate the sound mix. You think, what the fuck did they do to it? And of course, with all the fan everyone hating it, and then they just go back to the original, don't they? Oh god, but they still have to fuck up everything else sometimes, don't they? God. Yeah. When you hear those some of those blast things and some of the ricochet, they sound like seagull sounds, like like a seagull's flying around. It's just got shot, poor bloody creature. That's what it sounds like to my ears. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they are seagull sounds and they've manipulated the sound on it. Like they do with the what was it, the TIE fighters? What are they? Some sort of animal sound, I think. I can't remember. This looks so bloody high tech when it played down at the cinema downtown because of the architectural design of the cinema complex and the particularly screen number 1, the Cinerama screen. The way it looked with the cylindrical shape and the circular cylindrical shape, and you got even though it wasn't big Cinerama because they reduced it down to scope, but back in the day it was Cinerama, a Cinerama auditorium for a very brief, short while, actually, less than a year, I think. And then Cinerama was suddenly phased out during the early 70s. It was at the start of 1970, I think, phased out. Pity, really, because they should, I thought maybe I don't give a shit about cinema much now, but I thought maybe they could resurrect Cinerama and call it Cinerama Digital, just have those, because the screen size would have been back in its projection day, before my time, really, before I went to cinema and watched movies. It would have been pretty damn wide. I'm not sure if near to maybe 80 feet wide or something, but screen height maybe just a little bit under 40 foot old, mate. Maybe just under 40 feet. Maybe, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. The place now is only reserved for the pigeons, or maybe the Steven Seagull that can get in through the windows and nest up there, during the winter time until spring. That's what it is now. It's all derelict. They said they were going to convert it into flats. It's almost been 10 years converted into flats. Yeah. I think that was just something to sidetrack the public, thinking, but why do we care? The town has been given a crappy Odeon, but it is almost 10 years, almost getting on about 10 years old, and it's almost like it's falling apart. It's starting to look tatty, crap. Oh dear. Yeah. Just like, yeah. But the actual complexes are still intact. They could be, but no one cares. You got cinema is dying out. Cinema's dying out. Movies are short-lived. They only live a short life in a cinema, and then that's it. They're gone. And then the rest of their life will be in the home. That's it. That's the reality. Oh yeah, I wonder what's happened to that come to think of it, because I heard that one was like, oh gosh, on a thin line, and it was like, oh, doomed. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. Probably, maybe they cut a deal or something. Yeah, it's still there. Otherwise, their website wouldn't be up. It's called the Prince Charles Cinema in London, in Leicester Square, and it was facing utter doom, I think, up to September last year. But I don't know, maybe a deal was cut or something, because they're still there, because they were going to be evicted from the premises, and they would have to find a new location. But obviously, they're still there. Yeah, they show interesting stuff, but I don't really care to see. I don't really care to go to a cinema that doesn't have a THX sound system. I haven't been to cinema since what, a couple of years now. Did I go there last year, or was it the year before? Was it last year? I think it was the year before. I think it's 2 years I haven't been to that Odeon now. I don't really care. They can keep. James Cameron can keep his bloody Avatar up to. I've heard rumours James Cameron's going to be carbonated, and he's going to be around for 1,000 years. So he's planning to do Avatar 900 during the 27th century or something like that. I heard. Yeah, fucking hell. Does his movies have a conclusion? I don't know why anyone wants to see that sort of. What does he think they are? Star Wars? Not even on the same caliber. I mean, you don't see audiences. You don't see the public today queuing up outside the cinema, long queues. You don't see that. Yeah, not since a few decades, where you used to get long queues and you get ticket prices that seem very realistic, and it makes it an honest box office, not greedy like it is now, where ticket prices are like 15 or over 20, or sometimes even if it's Leicester Square, they might be £50. What? Bloody hell. And then they're short-lived. They don't get booked into these cinemas today. They don't get booked in very long. Couple of weeks at the most, and then they're gone. And they're shuffled out of that big, huge, supreme auditorium and shuffled out into a tiny, small auditorium. Yeah, it's not like yeah. Management mostly is driving it down, and yeah, because they're greedy. They got big, huge mansions, and they just want to lead a greedy life, and that's up to them. That's their prerogative. I'm quite content being poor, or just well off. But I'm quite content with, yeah. I don't want a mansion. What the fuck am I going to do in a mansion? Huh? What the fuck am I going to do in a mansion? I've been in the bedroom mostly now for like 10 days. It's like I've hardly been in the room. I just go to the bathroom or go to the kitchen, walk through the hallway, and I'm back on the bed. That's it. Because my health is like fucking like that. So I almost went dizzy this evening. Almost went dizzy. Yeah. I haven't felt dizzy since sometime last year. I don't know if it's my diabetes. I don't know if it's my fibrillation. I don't know if it's the medication or side effects of medication. I haven't got a fucking foggiest clue, because doctors don't give a shit about any of us except themselves. Oh, when a doctor's sick, does a doctor see himself because or does he see a doctor? And then gets treated in the same way as a regular patient. And then I like to see a doctor like get really disgruntled and angry, and because sometimes we do, because we know we're being bullshitted, but they're not giving us all the facts. I didn't know that you could try other methods to possibly reverse diabetes type 2, and that information's been going around for 10 years or so, or maybe a bit more. And all they want to do is stick you on pills to control. How do I know that? What side effects they're going to do? Yeah. Side effects. It's kind of like a Dolby DSU. You listen to the center channel, and it's got a side effect, particularly when it's music playing across the screen channel, and you listen to the center channel on DSU. So if you listen to, say, DSU, just 4-channel matrix being used on a typical today AVR processor DSU, it has this kind of whooshy effect on the center channel. You got to listen with a trained ear. You turn off the left and right, and you listen to the center. You can hear this whooshy effect. Then you switch to DTS Neural X. Doesn't have that issue. It's like you're listening to a Dolby Pro Logic Cat 150 or a traditional Pro Logic hard chip on a traditional AVR that's probably about over 15 years or so old, or when they were still doing those sort of things before this bullshit crap generation that now most people don't even notice the quality of sound, particularly I don't know if you want to call them audiophiles, and they don't even notice it because they're not listening. I noticed it and I thought, what's going on here? It sounds awful. It's like if they put I think I mentioned it's already in this video. It's like if they put a hard wired chip, Pro Logic chip, in, say, a trinnov, so you can switch from DSU and then switch over to, but that's why, like I say, I think I've already mentioned it. That's why it's got 8-channel RCA input, so you can connect up another processor and then switch over to it, so you don't have to listen to that god awful DSU. And you can pump it through say like use the Pro Logic 2X, which is not too bad, but improper to use it with say Star Wars on Laserdisc. It's improper because you set it up with a proper Dolby stereo configuration, so it has a specific signature sound delivery, which most home theaters don't even have, except me and someone else I know, and there might be a few others out there, but it's very small, while everyone else has got a pretty flawed sounding, and it can't do everything. Disappointing, really. And it's a lot of the manufacturers are bullshitting the consumer. They're not telling us. They're not telling you. It's like doctor, the MD, the doctors, and they're not telling you. The reason I wanted to get a home cinema years ago because I wanted to duplicate what I was hearing in a substandard cinema. But then when I go to a THX one, it's like, oh, it's a game change. It's end game change. It's the end game of all end games. That's just a bullshit marketing bit of words. There is no end game. There is no game change. It's just an upgrade or an alteration to the system that either that improves. Well, yeah. Happy Star Wars Day. For few. Have they got the 97 version on YouTube? I don't think so. I don't think they got that version. So that scene, unless someone does an upload, I don't think anybody wants to hear it because it's the same sort of thing like they did with the Terminator. Think, what the bloody hell's wrong with the bloody sound effects? What? Why do they want to change? Oh dear, bloody hell! It's like anything Skywalker sound sometimes touches, it turns to crap. Because they did the Terminator, didn't they? Skywalker sound, not the original, but the remix. And I don't even like that version. That's why I got so fed up with that bloody type of sound mix. I thought, fuck it, I'll get the THX laser disc of the original mono mix. Yeah, you get fed up with these things. You just got to get something that's dear. Oh yeah, there is a bit of a bloody drive. I forgot to put the bloody heating on. Even though the temperature is showing 20.2, which, frankly, on the that is a comfortable level, 20 Celsius. That is a comfortable level. It's just the bloody. I need to put a candle, so I can see the flame fluctuating. I can feel it. It's coming from the window area. I don't think I've got those flaps open. I think they're closed, but they're still. Something manages to still get through, and even if it's a tiny narrow hairline or whatever, that the air, the pressure of the wind on the outside is huge, and it's pressing against the side of the building, and it's slipping in. That's okay. I'll just cover myself up. It's showing, it's not like it's bloody 6 Celsius in the room. If it were, I'll be probably going to get bloody hypothermia. Yeah, all we've got to do is just hold out till spring. No, we don't wait. Right now, it could be one or few of us. Is there anything we can do? There's a blood test we can do. Yeah, we got a couch in the that's nice and comfortable. Want to sit on it? Get me out of this fucking couch. You see that? You see, I look at a film, I look at the way the sound is all moving, and it's like, you know, tied to the fucking couch, you know. This is bloody ridiculous.
Time
Oh, look,
to relax.
green.
Always
Fucking hell, I don't want to see Tampax. Here we go.
Now I'll show you what I already know.
It's a crock of shit.
It's a crock of shit. Let's try the Doc and Clark.
See, the way, you know, there's some good pan sounds in this movie. You know, sometimes when he moves the flamethrower, and you get it sometimes panning. Yeah, like there, I can hear it
Now
panning.
Clark.
And Clark was human, huh? Which makes you a murderer, don't it?
Palmer now.
Panning again there.
This is pure nonsense. Doesn't prove a thing.
I thought you'd feel that way, Gary. You were the only one that could have got to that blood. We'll do you last.
Hey folks, viewer mail time again. Oh, here's one from Sally, age 14.
Everything goes haywire, doesn't it? Get me out of this. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of pan sounds going on, but they need to be more screen speakers so you get the sound moving where the performing is on the visual. So it seems like it's locked with the image. There's just anyway. Anyway, I think you get the idea. So I'm only 2 hours. I'm a bit bored of this now. I'm going to do something else. Boom, boom, boom. Keep on listening.